She left Nigeria with nothing and returned with everything, except the love she once knew. For 10 years, Amara sent money home, sacrificed joy, and lived in silence, until one day, she came back, pretending to be deported. What she discovered was a betrayal that no one could prepare for. But this story doesn't end in tears. It rises in power. Don't blink. The truth starts now. After a decade in the United States, Amara returns to Nigeria. But this isn't a triumphant homecoming. Disguised as a deportee, she seeks the truth about the family she sacrificed everything for. Amara walks to the terminal, observing families reuniting with joy. She clutches her suitcase tighter, her expression a mix of hope and fear. 10 years of hard work, sending money home, dreaming of this moment, but nothing could prepare her for what awaits. Amara walks along a narrow, red earth road lined with old houses and a familiar scent of home. Chickens dart past her as children run barefoot, laughing. She reaches a compound gate, faded, rusted, yet familiar. This was once her home. She pauses, heart racing. With trembling hands, she opens a gate and walks in. The compound is quiet. A new satellite dish on the roof. Fresh paint on the walls. But not a single sign of welcome. She had imagined hugs, tears, celebration. Instead, silence. This wasn't the home she remembered. This was a house filled with strangers. She knocks. A middle-aged woman, her younger sister, now matured, opens the door and stares blankly.
Yes. Can I help you?
Amara smiles weakly.
Chioma, it's me. Amara.
Chioma blinks, then steps back, eyes narrowing.
Amara, what happened to you? You look like a beggar.
Before Amara can speak, another voice echoes from inside. Their father.
We don't keep deportees in this house.
Amara freezes. And just like that, the years, the sacrifices, the love evaporated. Amara sits on a wooden bench behind the house. Her suitcase lies beside her, untouched. Her eyes are glassy, but no tears fall, not yet. The sun casts a harsh golden glow over the quiet compound. From inside the house, muffled laughter and the aroma of freshly cooked soup waft through the air. She is invisible, forgotten, a ghost haunting her own home. She listened to voices, the same voices she replayed in her head for 10 years, now talking about her like a stranger. Her younger brother walks past the back gate, slows where he sees her, then pretends to answer a call and walks faster. A neighbor woman, Mama Easy, passes and stops, staring at her.
Amara. My daughter. Is it you? What happened?
Life, Mama. Life happened.
Mama Ease is beside her, wraps an arm around her. No questions, just quiet comfort. One woman showed kindness. The rest, silence. Not even a glass of water from her own blood. Amara sits alone in what used to be her childhood bedroom. The walls are repainted, her old posters gone. In their place, trendy decor, things she didn't buy. The bed she saved for is now her sister's. A new phone charger hangs on the wall. She stares at it, numb. She opens her suitcase and pulls out an old photo, a picture of her and her siblings, arms around each other, all smiles. The edges are bent, faded. She places it on the small table beside the bed. It's the only thing that feels familiar. 10 years of wiring money, skipping meals, braving the cold streets of New York, all for this room, for these people. And now, she was a visitor, a burden. She lays back, eyes wide open. The ceiling fan whirs slowly above. From outside, her siblings laugh around the dinner table. Her name never mentioned. She reaches for her small journal and begins to write.
Today, I learned that home is not always where you left your heart. Sometimes, it's where you buried your illusions.
The market is alive with chatter, bargaining, and vibrant colors. Amara walks through the crowd in a plain dress and sandals, her head slightly bowed. People turn to look, whispering. Some point. She keeps walking. She spots her younger cousin selling phone accessories in a bright kiosk. The same cousin she sent school fees for. She approaches slowly.
You go.
The boy looks up, startled, then his face hardens.
You shouldn't have come back like this, sister. People are talking.
Talking about what?
That you were deported, that you wasted all the money in America.
Amara's breath catches. She steadies herself.
I sent money. Every month. I worked double shifts. I slept on floors so you all could eat.
We never saw the money. It went through Uncle. He said you had plenty.
Silence. Then Amara slowly turns and walks away, the weight of 10 years pressing into her spine. Her truth had been swallowed by lies. Her name dragged through dirt in her own home. But beneath the silence, something had begun to awaken inside her. Amara sits under a giant mango tree near the stream, the same place she used to sit as a child and sing. The air is still. Birds call from the branches above. Her suitcase lies beside her, unopened since she arrived. She hums softly, the melody trembling at first, then steady. Her voice carries, calm, clear, beautiful, until a young girl selling groundnuts stops and listens.
Auntie, you sing like radio.
Amara smiles faintly.
I used to sing all the time.
Why did you stop?
Amara looks up at the mango branches.
Life made me forget I could.
The girl hands her a small sachet of groundnuts and runs off, grinning. Amara holds it gently, the first gift she's received since returning. Sometimes it takes a stranger's kindness to remind you that you still have value, that your light isn't gone, only dimmed. She sings again, louder this time. The breeze stirs. A few passers-by stop and listen, mesmerized by the raw emotion in her voice. Amara now stays in Mama E's spare room, a small space with a woven mat, oil lamp, and kind silence. Mama E serves her a bowl of hot yam porridge and sits across from her.
My child, what really happened in America?
Amara stares at the flame. Then quietly she speaks.
I wasn't deported. I chose to come back, pretending I was, to test something. I needed to see if love lived here or if it was just money they wanted. And now you know?
Amara nods slowly. Silence falls. She faked her downfall to find the truth, and it shattered her. But in that pain, she began to see clearly. Amara sits at an old computer in the local library. Her eyes scan the screen, bank transfers, receipts, emails. She prints them all out, stacks them into a neat file. She walks to the village council hall and drops the file at the secretary's desk. She wasn't going to fight with fists. She would fight with truth, with evidence, with dignity. She leaves without saying a word. Her file contains every dollar sent home, every sacrifice documented. The compound is full. The elders sit beneath the baobab tree. Her family is called. The file is opened, evidence laid bare. Whispers spread. The truth is undeniable. Her uncle stammers. Her father looks away. Chioma's face turns red.
You shamed your own blood because you thought she had nothing left to offer.
When truth walks in, lies scatter like frightened goats. Amara says nothing. Her silence roars louder than any accusation. The local priest calls her aside after the service.
There's a music outreach starting. Youths. Choir training. We need someone like you.
Amara blinks, surprised.
You still have your voice, Amara. Use it. Heal with it.
She had lost everything, but her gift remained. It was time to give again, not to those who drained her, but to those who needed her song. She nods. For the first time in weeks, her eyes shine. Amara now leads a group of teens in choir practice. Her voice rings out, powerful, rich, filled with pain and beauty. The youth follow, eyes lit with admiration. Mama Eve watches from the window, proud. Her pain had become power, her sorrow a song. She was no longer invisible. She was unforgettable. The choir sings louder. Their voices rise in harmony. Hope fills the air. A young producer from a regional radio station approaches Amara after a church concert.
We've heard about you, your voice. Your story. We'd like to invite you to our station. Share your journey. Maybe even record your songs.
Amara pauses, a long breath. Then she smiles.
All right, let's do it.
From rejection to recognition, her fall was real, but so was her rise. And this was only the beginning. Amara steps into the recording booth, headphones over her ears, mic before her. The producer nods from behind the glass. She closes her eyes. Her voice emerges, raw, powerful, filled with pain, but also hope. She sings one of the songs she used to hum while braiding hair in the Bronx. The producer leans forward, stunned. The station manager peeks in. The crew stops what they're doing. Her voice wasn't perfect, but it was real, woven with years of pain, sacrifice, and betrayal. She didn't just sing. She told a story, and every note was freedom. The lights dim. The station goes live. Amara shares her story on air, from hustling in America to returning home in disguise. The phone lines flood. Messages pour in. Listeners cry. Some call to apologize. Some ask for her songs. In her voice, they hear themselves. A mother in Benin, a cleaner in Port Harcourt, a nurse in Ghana. She had been forgotten by her own, but now, strangers embrace her pain like a mirror of their own lives. From exile to echo, she had become a voice for the silent. Her father sits on the front steps, listening to the radio on a neighbor's phone. The voice of his daughter, calm, honest, unshaken, floats from the speaker. Tears form in his eyes. Chioma storms inside, slamming a door. Their mother stands still, clutching a wrapper, shame and regret written on her face. They tried to bury her story, but it grew roots in the hearts of strangers. And now, the whole village knew who she really was. Amara fills a bucket at the well. Chioma approaches, arms folded, bitter.
You think you're a star now? People pity you because you cried on air.
Amara stands tall.
No one owes me pity. But they deserve truth. Something you forgot how to give.
Chioma scoffs, turns to leave, but her steps are shaky. Some betrayals don't need revenge. Just truth, standing tall, untouched in front of the lies. Amara opens a door to find a young man in a crisp shirt and dusty shoes. His face lights up with shock and joy.
Amara. You're back? It's me, Tdaimeji. From the Bronx. We used to volunteer at the shelter together.
They laugh, hug briefly. He's now in Lagos, working with a music foundation. He heard her voice on the radio.
You belong on stage. You always did. And now, I have a stage for you.
Amara boards a commercial bus bound for Lagos. Mama E's hands her a woven purse. Children wave. She looks out the window, seeing the village fade behind her. She grips her journal, the one filled with pain, now scribbled with new songs. She left as a ghost. Now, she journeys forward with fire. This wasn't the end. This was the rebirth. And in Lagos, her story would rise like dawn. The family sat in silence around a half-eaten pot of soup. Amara's presence was a ghost in the room. Chioma didn't look up. Their father avoided her gaze, and their mother nervously stirred the soup, though her hands were shaking. Amara tried to smile, forcing herself to ask how everyone had been. The only response was a slow scraping of Chioma's spoon. But inside, Amara was collapsing. The family she broke herself to support now treated her like a stranger, no, like a threat. Amara walked to the marketplace, hoping to find a trace of comfort in the familiar paths. But all she heard were whispers. Traders she once helped looked away. Women she braided hair for now huddled and gossiped.
She came back with nothing after 10 years. Maybe she failed over there.
The pain of betrayal was one thing, but this slow-burning humiliation from people she once fed, it was another kind of grief. Just as Amara was returning from the market, she saw a car parked outside. Out stepped Daimeji, her old friend from the Bronx. He had come. He saw her face and rushed toward her without hesitation.
Amara, I heard what's happening. I should have come sooner.
For the first time in weeks, Amara smiled fully. Someone remembered, someone cared, and with him, he brought not just kindness, but a surprise that would change everything. That night, Daimeji revealed the truth Amara had never expected. While in the U.S., someone had been manipulating her family's view of her. Bank transfers had been rerouted, messages had been intercepted, and the name behind it was Chioma.
She didn't want you back, Ama. She thought you were taking the spotlight even from thousands of miles away.
Amara's chest tightened. The betrayal wasn't just silence. It was sabotage. Amara met Chioma at the riverbank, their childhood refuge. But today, it was a battlefield. She held up the evidence, her voice steady but cold.
Why, Chioma? Why did you do it?
Chioma broke. Her pride crumbled, and for the first time, her voice shook.
You were always the star. Even in your absence, you were shining. I was here, drowning while they praised your ghost.
Tears fell, but Amara didn't cry. She just turned and walked away. As Amara sat alone, Mama Ease handed her a letter that had been lost in her things. A letter Amara had written to herself 10 years ago.
You'll survive. You'll thrive. And if they forget you, you'll remember who you are.
The words hit her differently now. She wiped her tears, folded the letter, and stood tall. It was time to rewrite her story, not as a victim, but as a woman reborn. Daimeji arranged something special. He got Amara a guest spot at a rising Lagos radio station. Nervous but ready, she stepped into the studio. The red light blinked on. The host smiled. We're live with a very special guest. Her voice may heal you. Amara closed her eyes, exhaled, and sang, not for attention, but for freedom. Her song held tears, pain, joy, and fire. And when it ended, the studio was quiet. Then the phone lines exploded. As the phone lines poured praises, one caller paused the world. This is her father, the old man said.
I don't deserve to speak. But I heard my daughter's voice today, and I remembered what it meant to be a man. Amara. I failed you.
Amara stared ahead, silent. Her heart cracked, not from pain this time, but release. For the first time in years, her father chose her, publicly, with tears. By nightfall, clips of Amara's performance went viral. Blogs posted headlines like, "From Deported to Divine," the voice that broke Nigeria's silence. Strangers reached out, some in tears, others offering stages. Her voice had become a wave, unstoppable. Daimeji showed her the numbers, 2 million views in 6 hours. Amara couldn't believe it, but deep down, she smiled not for the fame, but because her silence was finally heard. Chioma watched the viral video from her cracked phone screen. Her sister's voice played softly as her own reflection stared back from the dark window pane. Her eyes watered, not from anger, but loss. She whispered, "She became what I wanted to be without taking anything from me." For the first time, Chioma saw Amara not as a rival, but as a mirror of what she never allowed herself to become. Before sunrise, Mama Ease knelt quietly in her compound, facing east. She whispered prayers for Amara, not for fame, but for protection.
She will carry light. But light attracts both angels and insects.
She lit a small candle at the foot of her guava tree, placed a colon up beside it, and said, "Let her rise without shame. Let those who turn from her see her without blinking." Amara walked into Daimeji's office, holding a white envelope. Inside, an official invitation from an international music festival in Cape Town. Not only was she invited to sing, she was named the Voice of Resilience 2025. Daimeji couldn't stop smiling. "You see? They didn't just hear you, they felt you." Amara clutched the letter, her voice shaky. "And this time, I'm not going alone." News of Amara's upcoming performance spread like wild harmattan fire. The same villagers who once turned their backs were now gathered in the square, drumming, dancing, and chanting her name. Mama Ease blessed her forehead with palm oil. Even her father stood, speechless, holding a wrapper of yam and cola. Amara looked out at the crowd, not bitter, but humbled. "Let this not be revenge," she whispered. "Let it be rebirth." In a soundproof rehearsal room, Amara stood alone before the mic. No crowd, no noise, just her, and the echo of her voice bouncing off empty walls. Daimeji watched from the booth, holding back tears. Her voice was stronger, deeper. The pain had matured her gift. She wasn't just rehearsing. She was releasing 10 years of heartbreak, rejection, and silence, turning every note into power. Back in the village, Chioma walked into Mama Ease's room and handed her a sealed envelope. "She deserves to hear it from me, not the world." Inside was a handwritten letter, an apology, a confession, and a promise. Chioma wrote of her envy, her brokenness, and her journey to healing. She was never the problem. I just couldn't see my own light because I was too busy dimming hers. The crowd at the festival roared beneath a blanket of stars. Lights danced across the stage, cameras flashed, and the announcer's voice echoed. "Please welcome the Voice of Resilience, Amara." She stepped out slowly, dressed in regal Ankara, her posture calm, eyes steady. As the lights hit her face, silence fell over thousands. She took the mic and sang the song of her life. As Amara's voice soared through the night, people across the world tuned in. In a Lagos bar, strangers clapped. In the village, families gathered around a single TV. Even Chioma, alone in her room, stood in front of the screen, hand over heart. The song became more than music. It became memory, healing, fire, and forgiveness. For those 7 minutes, The world paused to remember her name. Amara stepped off the stage, breathless and dazed. Backstage, a woman in a sleek suit approached her, head of a major global music label. "We want to sign you, not just for your voice, but for your story." Daimeji grabbed her hand in disbelief. But Amara smiled gently and said, "I'll sign, but only if I keep my roots." She didn't want to be the next global superstar. She wanted to be the first Amara, unfiltered, African, and true. Amara's return this time was different. No disguise, no lies, no shame. She stepped out of the bus wearing her signature head wrap, met by children running, drummers playing, and elders clapping. Even those who once whispered behind her back now bowed with pride. Mama Ease held her hand, whispering, "Now they see you." Amara didn't walk, she floated. Inside the compound, Chioma waited in the shadows, letter in hand. Amara approached slowly. No words, just eyes. Then suddenly, Chioma dropped the letter and hugged her. Tight, raw, shaking. "I was so wrong," she sobbed. "But I'm not too proud to start again, if you'll let me." Amara didn't speak. She just held her tighter. Some wounds don't need words. They need time and truth. With Daimeji's help, Amara opened a music foundation in Lagos called Echo from Ashes. Its mission? To support deportees, silent artists, and wounded talents in finding their voice again. Young women line up every day, braiders, singers, poets, many with stories like hers, some with worse. She listened to everyone, not as a star, but as a survivor. Amara sat across from a well-known journalist. Bright lights, national spotlight. "You become a symbol of hope," the host said. "What do you want Nigerians and the world to remember from your journey?" She paused, looked into the camera, and said, "Don't wait to be celebrated before you heal. And never believe your silence means you're forgotten. Sometimes silence is God's studio." Alone in her Lagos apartment, Amara played an old voicemail she had saved from years ago. It was her mother, long past. "My daughter, sing when you're scared. Sing when they leave you. And sing when you come home." She clutched the phone to her chest, eyes glistening. Even in death, her mother's voice remained her lighthouse. One morning, as Amara arrived at the foundation, a brown envelope lay at the door. No name, no sender. Inside was a letter and a check, Nigerian naira 10 million. A note read, "You saved me when I almost drowned. Now save more. From someone you healed without knowing." She looked around. No one in sight. But her smile grew. Her voice had traveled further than she imagined. Amara organized a free concert in her village, the same field where she once braided hair to survive. Just as she began singing, the rain started. The crowd hesitated, but didn't run. Instead, they stood still, arms raised, letting the rain wash away shame, pain, and history. Amara kept singing. Her voice rose above the storm. And in that rain, her story was baptized again for the world to see. A stranger walked into the foundation, weathered by time. He introduced himself as Pastor Ease, Amara's estranged uncle, the one who had once told her she was cursed. "I came to ask for your forgiveness," he said, tears in his eyes. "I didn't know light when I saw it." Amara stared at him. She said nothing, but she offered him a chair and a bottle of water. Amara was invited to Abuja to receive the Voice of the Nation award. She wore her mother's wrapper as a sash, and Chioma walked beside her in silent support. Dignitaries stood. Cameras flashed. But when she took the mic, Amara simply said, "I accept this, not for me, but for every girl who was told her voice was too loud, too poor, or too strange to matter. Back in the family home, Amara wandered into her childhood room and found her old songwriting notebook. Pages torn, cover cracked. She flipped through it slowly. Lyrics scribbled in broken English, lines about stars, lost God, and home. It was raw, imperfect, but it was her beginning. And she smiled, pressing it to her heart like a time capsule. Daimeji invited Amara to the beach one evening. He brought a small box and opened it. Not a ring, but a USB stick. This is your story. Every recording, every tear. I've documented it all. We can make a film, not to sell your pain, but to preserve your power. Amara looked at him, eyes full. She whispered, "Then let's finish it right from the start." Amara stood in a recording booth, headphones on. This time, no one watched. No crowd. Just silence and a red recording light. She pressed a button and began to speak. "If you're hearing this, I made it, not because they believed in me, but because I believed when no one else did." She paused. Then softly, she sang one last line. A new song, one we've never heard before. Then the screen fades to black. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in second chances, unshakable strength, and the power of a woman's voice, then don't just watch. Be part of the journey. Subscribe to our channel at Echoes Africa Stories and tap the notification bell so you never miss a story that can inspire, heal, or change a life. Because the next story might just be yours.